Hello, everyone. Continuing with the tradition that we started last week, iRC by iQuanta, which is also known as the Art of Comprehension. Today, I'll be discussing a passage from CAT 2021, Slot 1, and is called as Tea Leaves. But before discussing the passage, let us go through some really difficult words which were used in this passage for proper understanding. The first one is sleights of hand, which means skillful deception. Conflate, it is about combining two or more texts, information, or ideas into one. In the context of this passage, it will be more about combining of the ideas. Obscure, it is something which holds very low or least importance. Temperance, it's complete abstinence from alcoholic drinks, like someone or an idea or a movement in which people totally quit alcoholic drinks. That is temperance. Imbue, it's inspiring with a feeling or a quality, worth inspiring, of course. Inebriate is intoxicate. Portend, be a sign or warning that something is likely to happen. Hedge, it's a fence or a boundary formed by closely growing bushes or shrubs. You must have seen garden fences, or people create fences around their homes and their holiday homes, etc. Underbelly, it's an area which is vulnerable to attack. So it's not always of a human. Underbelly can be an idea, underbelly can be of an institution, of a movement, of any thought, etc. Cod. Cod is a large marine fish with small barbel on the chin. You must have heard about cod liver oil, which is consumed for omega-3 fatty acids. A lot of people do that nowadays. That is cod. Tashitsu. It's a tea room in Japanese culture. A part of it is illustrated in this picture. Just look at this. Some people are there in the tea room of Japanese culture. Tashitsu. This passage is essentially a book review with some kind of opinions from the author. Not this author, but the author who has written the book review. And the book is A Thirst for Empire, How Tea Shaped the Modern World by Erica Papapot. You can see the illustration. It's basically British India, in which people are consuming and drinking tea and having a nice chat over it. Thirst for Empire takes an in-depth historical look at how men and women through the tea industry in Europe, Asia, North America, and Africa transformed global tastes and habits. An expensive and original global history of imperial tea, A Thirst for Empire demonstrates the ways that this powerful enterprise helped shape the contemporary world. Of course, this is not the part of the passage which was asked in CAT, but I just included this so that you understand and get a feeling of what we are going to study. This would indirectly benefit you a lot. Now, let us go to the passage. I'll just read for you. The sleights of hand that conflate consumption with virtue are a central theme in A Thirst of Empire, a sweeping and richly detailed history of tea by the historian Erica Rappaport. How did tea evolve from an obscure China drink to universal beverage imbued with civilizing properties? So, like all of us drink tea, all of us just sit for an evening snack in which tea is the something which is mandatory. All people do it. The answer in brief revolves around this conflation, not only by profit-motivated marketers, but by a wide variety of interest groups. While abundant historical records have allowed the study of how tea itself moved from east to west, Rappaport is focused on the movement of the idea of tea to suit particular purposes. Beginning in the 1700s, the temperance movement advocated for tea as a pleasure that cheered but did not inebriate. So temperance movement, as we discussed, is the act of quitting alcohol altogether. And tea did not inebriate, but at the same time it cheered. And industrialists soon borrowed this moral argument in advancing their case for free trade in tea and hence more open markets for their textiles. Factory owners joined in, compelled by the cause of a sober workforce, while Christian missionaries discovered that tea would soothe any colonial encounter. During the Second World War, tea service was presented as a social and patriotic activity that uplifted soldiers and calmed refugees. Quite an interesting fact. But it was tea's consumer-directed marketing by importers and retailers, and later by brands, that most closely pertains current trend debates. An early version of the farm-to-table movement was sparked by anti-Chinese sentiment and concerns over trade deficits, as well as by the reality and threat of adulterated tea containing dirt and hedge clippings. Farm-to-table is basically kind of which nowadays we know as organic farming. So directly from the farm, it is on your dinner table or your table. All right. Lipton was soon advertising from the garden to teacup supply chains, originating in British India and supervised by educated Englishmen. While tea marketing always presented direct consumer benefits, health, energy, relaxation, tea drinkers were also assured that they were participating in a larger noble project that advanced the causes of family, nation, and civilization. Rappaport's treatment of her subject is refreshingly apolitical. What is apolitical? Something which has got no endorsement to politics. Indeed, it is a virtue that readers will be unable to guess her political orientation. Both the miracle of markets and capitalism's dark underbelly are evident in tea's complex story, as are the complicated effects of British colonialism. Commodity histories are now themselves commodities. Such a nice line. The commodity histories are themselves commodities nowadays. Recent works investigate cotton, salt, cod, sugar, chocolate, paper, and milk, and morality marketing is now a commodity as well. I have boldened this morality marketing because I want all of you to put in the comments any example in which you feel morality marketing is being done. It is very common nowadays, so I'll be expecting one example from all of you. One example each from all of you. Is now a commodity as well applied to food, fair trade apparel, and ecotourism. Yet, tea is, Rappaport makes clear, a world apart, an astonishing success story in which tea marketers not only succeeded in conveying a sense of moral elevation to the consumer, but also arguably did advance the cause of civilization and community. I have been offered tea at a British garden party, a Bedouin campfire, a Turkish carpet shop, and a Japanese chashitsu. Bedouin is from the Arab civilization. So all of this is essentially a kind of book review of this book, Thirst for Empire. But in the last paragraph, the author, the reviewer, has given his own opinion, the things that he has seen himself. A Turkish carpet shop, and a Japanese tashitsu, to name a few settings. In each case, the offering was more an idea, friendship, community, respect than a drink. And in each case, the idea then created a reality. It is not a stretch to say that tea marketers have advanced the particularly noble cause of human dialogue and friendship. So the passage ends at something which all of us as Indians have experienced. We kind of experience it every day, be it in office, home, anywhere you go, you just have a cup of tea and a nice conversation starts. So we don't need alcohol for that. Tea is sufficient, and that is what a lot of industrialists did in 1700s. Let us go to the questions now. The first question is, the author of this book review is least likely to support the view that, first, tea drinking was sometimes promoted as a patriotic duty. 2. The ritual of drinking tea promotes congeniality and camaraderie. 3. Tea drinking has become a social ritual worldwide. 4. Tea became the leading drink in Britain in the 19th century. So, if we look at the passage closely, there is one thing that all of us have understood, and that is tea was actually promoted as patriotic duty. It is kind of mentioned over here, social patriotic activity during Second World War. So first, and it is like he's least likely to support. Okay, so this is something which he supports totally, so this cannot be the answer. The ritual of drinking tea promotes congeniality and camaraderie. Of course, it is mentioned throughout the passage that people, start conversation, start being calm, sober, and really cooperative with each other. So this, of course, author is likely to support, so this cannot be the answer. Tea drinking has become social ritual worldwide. Of course, this is something which the pair is all about. So this can also not be the case, not be the option. Tea became the leading drink in Britain in 19th century. This is something which has not been mentioned anywhere. So author is least likely to support this. So our answer will be fourth option. Hope this is clear. Going to question number 2. This book review argues that, according to Rappaport, tea is unlike other morality products because this is kind of a tricky question. First option says appeal to a universal group and not just to a niche section of people. All right. So this thing is true. Actually, it appealed to the universal group. But is it the reason? Is it the reason that Rappaport thinks tea is unlike other morality products? So in this question, the problem is that all the options can be individually true, but they would not essentially be the reason that why Rappaport thinks tea is unlike other morality products. There's something which we have to keep in mind. And this is one of the major errors. It is most probable error of RC that people think when they read the option and they are in a hurry in the real cat and they think that whatever, first they will read, oh, this is something which is in the passage, this is the correct answer, let's mark it. So the main important point to focus is to read the question carefully, and the words like unlike, does not, these words are something which people tend to forget, and even after knowing everything, they mark it incorrect. That is something I don't want you to do. So let us read the questions carefully. Second, had an actual beneficial effect on social interaction and society in general. This thing is true. Can this be the reason? Of course, this can be the reason. We'll look at the paragraph first. So in the paragraph, if you look at this part. I'll just show it to you. And morality marketing is now a commodity as well, applied to food, fair trade, apparel, and ecotourism. Yet, this is the keyword over here. Yet, tea is, Rappaport makes clear, a world apart and astonishing success story in which tea marketers not only succeeded in conveying a sense of moral elevation to the consumer, but also arguably did advance the cause of civilization and community. So this thing has been clearly mentioned, and this is why tea is world apart. So second option looks correct, but let us read third and fourth first. Was actively encouraged by interest groups in the government? Yeah, it was done, but the reason was because people wanted the textile industry and other industries to bloom, so that through tea, because workers would have tea, they won't take alcohol, and that will increase their efficiency. So third thing is individually correct, but that's not the reason. Fourth, was marketed by a wide range of interest groups. It was done for profitability, and this is not the reason why Rappaport thinks that it is unlike other morality products. So of course, option 2 is the correct one. Hope that solves the question. Here comes the third question. According to this book review, A Thirst for Empire says that in addition to profit-motivated marketers, tea drinking was promoted in Britain by all of the following, except first, factories to instill sobriety in their labor. This is there. We have been discussing this. This is something which was there, but the question says except. So first cannot be the answer. Second, tea drinkers lobbying for product diversity. All right. This is kind of tricky, but let us read the other options first. Third, manufacturers who are pressing for duty-free imports. So this thing is there mentioned in the passage. This cannot be the correct option. Coming to fourth, the anti-alcohol lobby as a substitute for the consumption of liquor. Right. So this thing is also mentioned because they wanted something to replace alcohol, and tea was the best available option. This cannot be the answer. Tea drinkers lobbying for product diversity. This is something which tea drinkers did not do. So this has to be the correct answer over here. Let us move on to the fourth question. Today, conflating consumption with virtue can be seen in the marketing of, first option says, sustainably farmed foods. So this is very close to the idea that is represented in this paragraph, which talks about direct from farm to the table. So it is same, and even I give the example of organically grown foods over here. First one is correct, but let us read the second, third, fourth options. ergonomically designed products, travel to pristine destinations, natural health supplements, of course, second, third, fourth are not correct. They are not in sync with the farm to table kind of ideology. Sustainably farmed foods would be the most correct option. And this is how we have solved the entire passage. So this passage, if we look at this was an easy passage. Questions were easy. But if you miss the terms like except, not, unlike, then you might get it incorrect. There are a few illustrations which I want to show you so that you always remember what we did over here, which can be helpful for you to imagine and understand things. As I always say that whenever I write an exam, I always try to be in the shoe of the author. So that is what I do in the shoe, and also in the condition situation which is being talked about in the passage. So just as to get a feeling of what we are doing, so I have given an illustration of World War II. Soldiers are sharing cups of tea. Now look at them. They are living in such conditions. And he is under the ground, and they're cooking tea, and they are, kind of sharing it for such a nice brotherhood. And this picture gives you a glimpse. Famous Indian chaiwala, our respected Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he was selling tea in his young age, and it is being kind of marketed for a very simple reason that selling tea is something which people in India feel is a low profile job, but this tea, which kind of encourages you, makes you cooperative, makes you meet different people, encourages conversation, can make you a prime minister. So becoming a prime minister from a commoner is something which tea can do. And I'll end the session with a very beautiful quotation. We are like tea. We don't know our own strength until we are in hot water. So trust me, all of you are right now in hot water. If you're not, I'll make sure you are in that so that you know your strength and come up with flying colors. Thanks.